So today we are talking about the WNBA season, which starts May 19th, which is Wednesday. I'm super excited about the WNBA season. They've had the season was phenomenal last year. I think people are finally realizing what incredible athletes these women are. And I'm so excited for this year's season. They've added in extra games, which you're going to talk about. They've added in different locations. So maybe we dive right in. Maybe can you give me, in all fairness, we're going to put this up front that Scott is very biased. He is a Las Vegas Aces fan. He's wearing his custom Aces jersey. Yep. Can you model it for us? There we go. For those of you who can't see it, that you're listening to the podcast versus YouTube, it has his lucky number 21 on the back and has his nickname Spike. You are still never going to shake that nickname. At least in business, I'm trying to stop calling you Spike.
Keep it professional.
I'm trying. I'm doing the best I can. I mean, we just talked about the tooth fairy, so maybe my standards are low, but so can you start us off? Tell us a little bit about last season and kind of the excitement that happened there, and we can kind of lead into this season.
Okay, first off, I want to say this custom Aces jersey was a gift from a friend, and it's possibly the best gift I've ever received. So
I'm
shout out
taking
to
that.
Hoy.
I'm taking that personally, but we do love Hoy.
You've never given me a custom WNBA jersey,
This is a true statement. True statement.
so we get that out
I'm
of the
on it.
way. And this coming upcoming season, kind of like you said, there's just a ton of momentum going into women's basketball and WNBA. And I feel like it's a case of like you if you build it, they will come. Last season we saw ESPN just devote a ton of time and resources into actually showing the product, getting games on TV, getting people a chance to watch, and I think the results speak for itself. I think
Yeah.
last year's final was the highest rated final in league history.
Who played in the finals last year? Remind me. I know, obviously, know the Aces won, but
The
remind me who they played.
Aces and the Connecticut Sun,
That's right.
and obviously the Aces won their first championship. So looking to come off a lot of momentum, upgraded the roster, added the legend Candace Parker. So we're very excited here.
Who else did they add to the mix? The Aces this year,
Well, Tom Brady,
of course.
he's in the ownership. And one of the games I went to last year, he sat courtside. So he was at one of the games last year sitting courtside. Obviously saw what a tremendous product they had, the talent they had. So he had to jump on board.
I have a question for you. You may not know the answer, but we see all these different people, all these different celebrities, athletes investing in the NWSL, the National Women's Soccer League. You don't really see as many people buying into WNBA teams. Do you think that's because the price tag is so high because they're owned by the NBA?
I think it's just a matter of time until we start seeing more high profile celebrities jump on board. I mean, the Aces are owned by Mark Davis, who's also the Raiders owner. So he can kind of do whatever he wants. And I just saw that Tom Brady actually just invested in the Raiders too. So
Oh,
obviously these two are like BFFs.
they both have great hair,
They do both have great hair,
just
both
maybe
very
different.
attractive. So they both have that going for them. I think it's just a matter of time until you start seeing, some high profile, hopefully female athletes jumping on board, getting a piece of
I
the action.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. The one thing that Tom Brady and Mark Davis don't have in common is Tom Brady's vegan and all these things. And I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, Mark Davis eats PF Chang's almost every day, or that was previously before he moved to Vegas.
PF Chang's a lot in and out, so no, I don't believe he's vegan.
Oh, so he's mad that they demolished the In-N-Out burger over by the Raider Stadium for the Oakland A's stadium, huh?
Quick update, it wasn't demolished, it was just hidden by a lot of construction. It is still there.
Oh, okay. Phew.
So
Would not want to make Mark Davis mad.
the in and out on Trop in the 15 in Las Vegas is still existing.
Phew. You can still get your late night drunk burgers.
Yes.
Probably. Yes. Okay. Anyways, back to WNBA. I thought that was just interesting that Tom Brady has jumped into that. Um, So this season we're playing more games because obviously there's more excitement to it. Um, they're expanding to a record high 40 games per team this season. Talk to me about who we should watch.
This this upcoming season, I mean, it's perfect. It's summer, as you know, trying to get content for sports over the summer can be kind of a drag. So I think they're taking advantage of having the whole summer to play their schedule. So they added 40 games, and I am very biased, but obviously the team to watch in the West is going to be the Las Vegas Aces, the defending champions. They added, like I said, Candace Parker, who's got championships with LA Sparks and Chicago Sky. And then out east, where we're looking at the New York Liberty. They've kind of created a super team over there as well. So they added MVP Brianna Stewart. She's won a few championships in Seattle. So she went from Seattle to New York, which was kind of a big deal. And they've added a few other MVPs and a few other solid players. So we've kind of got these two super teams, one in the East and one in the West, that everyone's just kind of expecting to dominate.
But it's sports, so you never know what's going to happen. One thing I really think is cool about the WNBA and the NBA started doing something similar, but talk to me about this Commissioner's Cup because I had to do some research on the in-season tournament called the Commissioner's Cup. Can you talk to us a little bit about that and what the Commissioner's Cup is and why it's so exciting?
So Commissioner Cup's gonna it's an in-season tournament, so there's specified games for the Commissioner's Cup. That is this in-season tournament that teams are looking to win to get a trophy and also a pretty significant payday. So there's a 500K prize pool for the winners. So there's the regular season games throughout the season, but there's also designated Commissioner Cup games. It's almost like European soccer, how they have all these like crazy in-season tournaments and different competitions going on. So it just gives a little added bonus to these teams, give a little bit more effort in some games and hopefully get some of that prize money, which is pretty significant given some of the WNBA salaries.
I was going to say we should highlight that the prize pool is $500,000, which I'm sure there are plenty of baseball players we could say that that's what they get paid every time they walk up to bat. But for the WNBA, that's big money. So, which is it's not big money in athletics, but that's why you're seeing people like Brittany Griner go over to Russia to play. But for the WNBA, this will give them a little extra money that they can win. And that happens, I believe, between May 19th. So the games will be between May 19th and July 12th. And it's against different rivalries that they'll have a chance to participate in this Commissioner's Cup. But what else did we see? I guess hold on, let me go back to that really quick. So we're talking Commissioner's Cup. We talk about Brittany Griner. She is back this year for the Phoenix Mercury. She obviously is back as well from Russia and is going to play this season. Has said she will never go play overseas again unless it's in the Olympics, which I don't blame her in the least bit.
Not at all, no. I think that at this point in her career, she's probably earned the right to not have to go overseas.
Right. And I mean, she made it to the Met Gala.
She did. So, I mean,
They,
she's getting back to normal life, getting back to, ready to play the regular season. But I
oh,
think, do we want to touch on, how these players, 90% of them do go play overseas?
absolutely.
Is, yeah, like you kind of said, the salaries aren't necessarily on par with other professional sports at this point, but as it continues to grow, as it become more popular, obviously salaries can go up. But in the off season, that almost every player will go play overseas where they'll pay big money to play in the European League, to play in the Russian League, name your random European country, and that's where they make most of their money. So they really don't have an off season. Most of these players, they're flying overseas, traveling nonstop just to, you know, kind of get on par with some of these other pro athletes. And
Do
hopefully
you
that's
see the?
something we can see change here soon.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I just think about the injuries.
Hmm.
I didn't do any research ahead of time to look at the lifespan of a WNBA career versus an NBA career. But I would imagine if you're not resting your body and you're playing
Hmm.
a game that challenges you every single day, the injuries have to be high. It's really interesting when you look at that. They don't have the if they're playing a full year, they're obviously shortening their earning potential. They're getting paid less, so they're overall, when you look at it compared to the men's sports, they're really having just such a shorter career with less money overall because they're
Yes.
having to go out and hustle otherwise.
Hmm. And yeah, I think that's what, maybe bringing on investors like a Tom Brady and, putting all these games on TV where they can, you're earning ad revenue and the league's just starting to make money. I think that's a step in the positive direction.
Do they have a salary cap or a luxury tax of any sorts?
I know there is a salary cap. I don't know the number off the top of my head.
Sorry, I just sprung that on you.
No,
I was just
I should know it, but I know that there's a certain amount per team.
Well, I was just curious because they've really tried to institute a an equalizer, right? So last
So
year
you
we had
can't
the
create
whole
super teams.
right. So you can't make
Mhm.
super teams, but last year we had the whole controversy about I believe it was New York Liberty who wanted to charter a flight. So if you're listening, you may not know that these WNBA teams they fly commercial like any of your college teams, and maybe not even all of your college teams, but they fly commercial. So they're on a plane like you and I. They get stuck if there's a
The
delay. If
Southwest Boarding Group C on
right, I mean,
a delayed
and then
flight.
that, and you've got people like they're 6'5" sitting in hopefully the exit row. But I mean, I can't imagine trying to navigate. It's hard enough to navigate the air travel system as it is, and delays and all the things being a normal average human, let alone trying to bring a whole team of players and staff, if planes get canceled, etc. So last year, the New York Liberty, I think it was last season, tried to charter a flight. So talk to me about the whole charter thing because the NBA was like, whoa, 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 we're not chartering flights because this is an advantage. Talk to me a little bit about that. And is it
Yeah,
changing this year?
and I believe they were chartering flights. The New York Liberty. I think his name is Joseph Tsai. He's a billionaire, and why would he not try to charter flights for his team to try to get an advantage to you know get around delays and sitting in small seats and so he did try in the league put an end to it, which was kind of bizarre. So I mean, why? Who? It's a great recruiting tool for the New York Liberty if they were able to do it. But yeah, like you said, past few years they've just been doing commercial, especially through COVID, was crazy trying to navigate that wearing masks. And this year they did make a slight change to the charter rules. So we've got charter flights for the WA finals and the WA Commissioners Cup games. So at least they'll have that going for them. And then there are a few select games during the season, like back to back games. So, if you're playing in Chicago one night and you have to fly to Indiana the next day to play a game, you don't have to jump on a 9 p.m. Southwest flight and sit middle seat stuck between, two random people. So
Hmm.
that's actually going to be a huge advantage. So they can get to the game on time, maybe a little bit better physical condition too.
Yeah, you just think about the germs, right? I mean, from just even a small standpoint of the amount of germs on a plane that they're also exposed to, just there's so many things going against them for that. So I'm excited to see that slowly they're starting to do that. Hopefully they'll turn it around here quickly. You would think there's a revenue opportunity to have a one of the plane companies as a sponsor or something, that discounted rate, that you would think somehow we could start to make this work. I do have a quick question to you for you, and I don't think this necessarily is true, but when I worked for the Diamondbacks, we were sister companies with the Suns, the Phoenix
Hmm.
Suns, and that ownership was the one who brought in the Phoenix Mercury. Do most teams have a connection to a WNBA, or excuse me, an NBA team, or do are they kind of a little bit of both?
I think there's a combination of both. There's a few teams that have the same ownership group. I know that the new Suns owner, Matt Ishbia, who made a lot of headlines with his playoff antics with Djokovic in the Nuggets series. He acquired both the Mercury and the Suns, so I
Okay.
think the Minnesota Timberwolves ownership as well. So I mean, I know they're probably limited on what they can actually do as far as, amenities. Obviously, they can't use the Suns plane for all their travel, but there's a few that cross over, and hopefully that's good for the team.
Sure. I mean, you have access to the same locker room and those kinds of
Hmm.
things. So, and the same staff. I mean, you're sharing staff. I remember a lot of the team staff would work for the Suns and the Mercury. So, I mean, it makes sense from a cost share perspective too. Just really interesting. I was curious about that. Okay. Anything else you want to add in before we wrap up the highlights of the WNBA season that is starting here in May?
For the first time ever, the WNBA is going to Canada.
Eh?
So yep, they're heading up to Canada. They're playing a preseason game in Canada for the first time to try to grow the game. We know how crazy Canadians are about basketball when you see the Raptors and they've got 20,000 people outside their arena. So this is just another way to grow the game and revenue and fans. So, I mean, that's a major step.
That's fantastic. Well, I will tell you if you're listening that you need to get on board with the WNBA season. The last season was the most watched in 14 years. It set records for social media engagement, digital consumption, and merch sales. Like this is let's do this. This is the season you want to get on board. Pick a team, get excited about it. They're on ESPN. You'll be able to watch them and let's just do it. I mean, this be there, be square. I mean, this is really something that if you want to get on we're not even on the bandwagon yet, but if you want to get on a winning sport, this would be it.
This is the time. Get on the ground floor before it really jumps off.
So super
And
excited for this upcoming season. If you want to keep up with us about the WNBA season, the NBA playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs, all things happening in the world of sports, make sure that you subscribe to the podcast so you can catch us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And of course, our weekly newsletter. All of those things can be found at lastnightsgame.com. Thanks, Scott, for joining me today. I appreciate you.
thank you. Go Aces.
Go Aces.